Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead. So, felt like a very violent day in a very narrow range. I think I calculated about 70 to 80 handles of movement up and down, but to go nowhere. And I guess that kind of happens before maybe you get some kind of resolution to this type of range. We've seen it before. Just go right here to the chart of the S&P cash. If you fell asleep and woke up today and looked at the close, you just said, hey, not a horrible day, right? We're still above the prior breakout area. We're still holding somewhat higher. We broke below a prior low, came back up, and still hovering right at resistance. So at some point, perhaps this gets taken out, and then, you could cheat to this. Okay, intraday though, things felt a little wishy-washy. That every time it felt like we were going to break down, you got out of stuff, and then we rallied, and just it is what it is. A lot of choppiness. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Okay, there are definitely some good stocks, and there are some bad stocks. I would have to say that with earnings season, it's good that they're actually isolating the names. What do I mean by that? I mean like Netflix had a great report, big short interest, 3 days up, with pivots. So if you look at Netflix gave you nice follow-through on a big earnings. Here's your big gap up. If you got long on day one versus the morning low, you're sitting pretty. You're 3 days later, 5 points higher. If you didn't take it first day and you said, I want to see it hold this and maybe trade through the post-earnings high, which was right here, you made money, then it closed well and said, hey, I'm going to give it to that prior day's pivot and never saw it, and boom. Or you could have been flatted and said, I'm going to do the same thing if it gets above 122.45 for another 90 cents. Now that's 3 days up, on its way back to I guess the prior highs here. So with that being said, don't fight the trend. And this is a strong name. It would have been better if it went sideways for 3-4 days before going, but it is what it is. The shorts are getting squeezed, and buyers can't wait. In other high beta tech land, things were real mixed. Google. I came in long. I got out when the stock was basically flat, just because I saw the weakness in Amazon, which was almost like a mini quick crash, which it wasn't, but I'm just saying. So for me, I got out of Google thinking that perhaps I'll be a little cute and see if I could buy it a little bit lower. I had options in for earnings, didn't get filled. The last thing you want to do is see a breakout failure. I kind of think it's going to hold, but the 8 days all the way down here. So I figured, what? Why don't I be just a little cuter? We bought it this day, held it yesterday, then you had some time to get out while it was actually green in the morning, while things were getting kind of hit. But for now, it feels like it closed a little bit below the prior low, so why not sit and wait? Earnings are until next Thursday. But still looks really good. Why did I get a little fluxed? Because, Amazon, which looks a little bit better now, didn't look as, like that. You had this 811 pivot, which you talked about in the morning call. I said if it gets below that, you could see the 50-day. It didn't quite see the 50-day, but it got below that and had a quick waterfall down to almost 803. Look how fast this happened, just so you know. I wish I had orders in, which I didn't, but some that did, you got paid real fast. Okay, look at this quick move. Okay, it happened very fast. Okay, so a lot of guys who had their orders around 803, which was a prior pivot, got filled, came back up, and then you had a decent little move here. Okay, when it got nice and tight, this was the more calculated move, not to have your orders in. Went all the way back up, filled a partial of the gap, and then came back in. Could have been your out, your stop, little head and shoulders top pattern. Came back in and wound up doing a whole lot of nothing. I did buy some options yesterday for earnings, and I tried to buy a little bit more today, but didn't quite get filled. I was waiting for the 50-day, and the 50-day did not happen. But who knows? We'll see if it happens again. Typically, you don't get 30 points off the highs in Amazon, without being rewarded for buying that dip. So I figured do some options and wait. But this isn't clear-cut enough for me to be long it. Let's see. Facebook hung in all day, but you have option expiration tomorrow. Chances are, if I made a guess, I would think that there's a big open interest at 130. So probably doesn't break out tomorrow. If it does, it'll blow out some volatility. So we'll see. It was strong all day. Still looks pretty good. Apple. Hangs around, still building a nice upper flag. Had some relative strength throughout the course of the day. At some point, maybe it takes this out. I don't think it'll do a pre-earnings, but it might. So maybe you're in some, maybe it continues. Microsoft came out after the close in the morning call. I talked about 58 and 58.70, and if you read my note, I said if Microsoft's going to be good after hours, it's been in a 4-month channel. If If you're trading it after hours, first spot to buy is 58, and then the weekly high is right here. Okay, the weekly high is 58.70. It cleared 58, cleared 58.70, and now, I don't know exactly where it is at 423, but before I looked at 60. So that's a nice move in Microsoft. That might help sentiment a little bit. And if you traded it after hours, like some of you on the VTF, and you were prepared with those two pivots, you could read my note. I talked about it. Boom, you got paid. Okay, I was actually getting ready for this. So, during earnings season, I can't trade as much as you guys because I have to be in here doing my recap so you guys could watch it later while I give up some of that after hours trading, but whatever, no big deal. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's also at all-time highs. So for those of you that think the market's rigged against you, you can't make money because high-frequency traders steal a quarter or steal 50 cents from you. Basically, if you've been a member of Microsoft and you've been buying the dip in it, by the way, I remember I do a morning note, guys, when I do a report. I'm not sure which one this one was in, but I talked about Microsoft breaking above 35. It was my play of the year in 2013. And look at that nice move. And now here you are, back at all-time highs. Imagine that. Everyone said Microsoft is where your money wants to go and die. Okay, consolidations do happen. Look at the size of this move from the 90s. $5 to 60. Yes, it pulled in more than it should have. Consolidation, consolidation, consolidation. And then first move was nice. And then it built a nice little channel just like the market. Broke above it, held it, and now boom. Looks like it's going to make all-time highs. And if you picked Microsoft and you've been investing in it every month, every year, whatever it is you do, or trading it technically, congratulations. It's amazing that it's been reborn. And it's been working well, and money did not go to die there, like a lot of people on TV tried to sound cool and say. So all in all, it's above this pivot. We'll see if it stays above it, and we'll see how it acts tomorrow, and we'll see if it helps the spiders and the Qs. Qs overall, still hanging around. Nothing special, but it did do a little bit of a red dog reversal where it traded below and came back above, and at some point, it seems like it might want to go again. So, here it's hanging in there, getting tight again. Another wedge type pattern, maybe this one with Microsoft breaks to the upside. Remember we talked about IBM saying that it could be bought after earnings? Well, not a blockbuster move, but it came off those earnings lows and boom. In new issue land, for those on the VTF, I said if it breaks, 87, that was the pivot. We could get a nice little short there. It broke 87, gave you a quick 1.5. Hung around the rest of the day. The secondary price was 100. Okay, couldn't hold it. That's why a lot of the IPOs have lost some air. Okay, you look here. This is when it was a good buy. Here was another good buy, and then all of a sudden, secondary was priced at 100. Didn't hold. So anyone who did not sell it on the pricing, okay, is underwater, and that's why you have all this supply. Here was your pivot that it's now below. We'll see how this acts tomorrow as Twilio comes out with its secondary. Here's your next level, 83. Maybe tomorrow you get a red dog reversal around 85.20, or maybe it opens up. Who knows? We'll see what happens tomorrow. Twilio, I'm sure people are a little upset, a little worried, because of the way the secondary was handled with ACIA, and basically this had a nice tradable pattern here, and this is when technically even before the secondary was announced, people got out, and I believe the secondary was announced around here, and now look where it is, closed at 44.14. I think there's a big, a good chance that it gets, priced at 42, which would be right around here, a little bit higher or under, okay? There's a lot of support within this area. I'd be very surprised if it's over 42. If it's over 42, okay, we'll see what happens. If it's under 42, maybe closer to 41, we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's 49% short, so a lot of people are betting for it to go down. So if it gets there, doesn't break price, maybe we finally get our bounce, and then the rest of the new issues become a trade tomorrow. Just want to show you the action in PBYI before I go. PBYI looks very similar to Twilio, where you had your doji top came in a lot before, okay, before the new issue. Okay, here was some decent sized support. Okay, they priced it in the hole. Okay, they priced it closer to here. So pre-market, it broke below. Okay, broke below price. So that means people who got it at 8.15, like, holy cow, I'm underwater on this thing now. Let me get out of the way. So they start selling it. And once those guys are out of the way, boom, this is what happened. It reversed. So maybe we see this kind of action tomorrow. The best scenario would be down $2-3 in Twilio, and then go green and go up $1, and then maybe some of the other new issues bounce, and we get that kind of day. If you look at the 5-minute chart on how this transpired, you'll see, it opened down, okay, below, and then basically, you had a pretty fast move, right, from 39 to 41, hovered here. Then once it went back above this, everyone who was still short said, oh my goodness, I got to get out. Then it went from 41 to almost 43 straight, and then it closed around 43.90. So let's hope tomorrow we get this kind of big down move in Twilio, wash everyone out, and then it comes back up, and then maybe there's better action there. But that remains to be seen, so we shall see. Oil definitely trapped a few traders today. Closed well. The inventories yesterday, so kind of hate when that happens. Doesn't leave a good taste in anyone's mouth. Why is it a trap? Because yesterday, you gapped up, people got long. If you stayed long, it gapped below this entire day and then never bounced. So all these people were trapped. Probably traders looking for some extra follow through. The daily looked pretty good, and now still looks fine, but you would have expected or hoped for better action. Came here, resistance came off it. So not the end of the world, but not the not the best kind of action in the oil pit if you wanted to be long there. Let's see what the XLE did. XLE actually held in pretty well, making it seem as if oil is not going to fall apart. Did a little red dog reversal. What's a red dog reversal? When it trades below a prior low, which it did of 70.21, and comes back above it. And now we'll see if in some time, if oil continues to hold, it gets above that pivot, and that would help the broader indices. Some of the banks, what's Citigroup doing? Yeah, Citigroup looks like it's going to take out this pivot at some point. I'm in the options over the next 2 weeks, so if we do get a rally, hopefully this goes from here up to 51.52. Goldman Sachs was downgraded today and still closed it pretty well, so it's strong. Bank of America, what did you do? Edged higher still. Okay, so the banks are in there. Guys were looking for a red dog reversal in GWPH. If he did, it was a great one. Now this is a perfect example of one, and I was so busy with other things. I was shorting ACIA, this and that. I didn't catch this. I should have put orders in. But anyway, what's a red dog reversal? Stock was 135. Here's a pivot low. This pivot low was 121.44. Here was your next pivot low right there. That was the start of the gap. If anyone thought, oh my goodness, this is going to fill the gap, this is over, the bears out there are going to win, it would have to get below this low and then get below this low. And this low was 119.27. Went as low as 118.50. So once it went below that, people were trying to press this. Longs were getting out of the way, came back above it. That's buy number one, okay, with a 75-cent stop. If you missed that, buy number two was when it took back 121.44. Then it went as high as 125. So nice reversal trade. So if you were looking for some kind of reversal within it, having this pivot and knowing where the gap was key. This stock loves to test gaps. Did it here and bounced off it, and now it did it there, so you have a potential double bottom here. So if you were short on this outside day, hopefully you covered. And if you were looking for a day trade, today you got one there, and maybe you held a third for a little bit more follow through. And that's it. I got to run. I'm going to be trading out of Short Hills tomorrow. We'll see where the secondary is priced in Twilio. We'll see if Microsoft holds above 60. We'll see if the S&P cash can actually engulf 2144 to 2149. We'll see how high beta tech looks as it has earnings next week. Apple has Tuesday, so hopefully this tight range resolves so we don't have to have 80, 90 handle moves within a 10% range 10 times a day, because that's not how we like to do it. Even though they say buy low, sell high, right? We kind of like to buy high and sell higher, or short low and cover lower. But again, in this range, you have to adjust, and you adjust until the range adjusts, and we'll figure that out when it comes. Have a great night.